Hey guys, welcome to the third episode of 5-Star Talk with JayBee.
Hey.
And Millie. So today we have an amazing guest for you. Some of you may know him as Bobby, but to the rest of you, he is the Nintendo guru. So, he has presented shows like Breaking Bells and more recently Nook Talk, although unfortunately they've stepped down from that show. But they are here today to do this amazing podcast with us, so say hi, Nintendo Guru.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
No, it is really, really good because really I think like a testament to this kind of thing, and one of the main reasons why that we kind of decided to reach out is after you kind of left Nook Talk, just the amount of positive support, saying how much people are going to miss you, how enjoyed you were on the show. It's just we really got the vibe that you were a very like respected and beloved person in the community, and
thank you.
I think that's all that's all we've got from this game, really, just overwhelming support and a sense of kind of being connected. And I think in terms of that outcry, you're one of the main people that kind of embodies that type of image.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was sadly I had to step away. It was an issue of I had some medical things pop up out of nowhere, and and I don't have any issue talking about it. I was getting dizzy spells, so I was getting vertigo, and I really wasn't sure what was causing it. So I knew that I had like doctor's appointments coming up that I had to do, and with Nook Talk, I was doing a good majority of the work on it in terms of like I was streaming it, I was coming up with a good amount of the topics. I had to then take the video, switch it over, convert it to audio, post that, do the overlays, all the different stuff, and I was just like, I just don't have the time. It was wearing on me. It was just like really just making my time evaporate very quickly, and I just felt like it was time to make a move on. And then I did, and the positive that came out of the community, like so many people just first off just checking to see if I was okay, and which I am. I'm fine. There's no issues. They think they figured out what's causing the vertigo, so it wasn't anything major like a stroke or anything big threatening that happened. But the thing is like just to see the overwhelming support and the people come out of that. I don't, it's crazy because we do these videos, we do this content, you don't realize who watches. And then all of a sudden, like, the amount of people that just came out of nowhere, it was just like, hey, are you okay? We support you, we love you. It's just really overwhelming.
It is, and Animal Crossing's like a real community. Like, it does seem that the people that you meet all tend to be like there's been a few kind of issues within the Animal Crossing kind of community, but other than that, like, most people that you meet are just very like sincere. Everyone's always really helpful with like sending things to each other. It's just so nice. But like, as you were saying, the work that goes into these videos, I don't think a lot of people appreciate. I know I didn't, because JayBee was like really into YouTube and getting videos out there before me, and I didn't ever kind of think of the hours that go into editing. Like, so you have to record, you have to edit, and uploads can take a day. And I think that's something that's really amazing about your channel, is just the amount of content that you have with how much work that goes into every one. Like, we were watching your museum recreation, for example, and the hours that went into that, because it was just sped up. So that in itself was so many hours in filming, and editing must have taken a long time too.
That one took me 5 hours just to build. 5 hours just to build it, and then you got to take all that footage, download it off of YouTube, convert it. I was streaming. I streamed half of it when I built half on YouTube, the other half on Twitch. Then I did some build on Alone where I captured it on my own computer. So that was 5 hours of footage I had to convert and get it all down, and then speed it up and cut out what was garbage and what was just a lag time of like nothing happening. I had to cut all that stuff out, and then so editing took me like 4 hours to edit the thing. So you're talking 9 hours total just to put that out. It's a lot of time, You know, it's especially like I work a full-time job. This isn't like unfortunately, I don't get to just make videos all the time, which I wish I did, but I don't get that. You know, I don't have that luxury. So yeah, it took 9 hours complete, start to finish, to do that thing.
Honestly, huge respect to you for that, because when you said there that you do a full-time job as well, like JayBee's mouth is like dropped, because the reason that we've managed to do this and put the hours in is because we're in like local lockdown, so like people aren't going to work, people aren't really able to do anything. So for you to be holding down a job and doing all those hours, it's amazing.
Yeah, I do 53 hours a week at my normal job, and then I stream 4 days a week, do podcasting 2 days a week. Sundays is like my technical day off from work, and like it's the only day I don't work my 9 to 5 job. I work Monday through Saturday, and Sundays I literally wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and from 6 o'clock till 10 or 11 o'clock at night, I am editing all my videos for the week and getting everything done, all my podcasts up and where they need to be, and then I stream during the week. So it's, you know, it is a lot of time that I put into it, and you know, but it's love. Like, I love doing what I'm doing, and I love the community so much that it just, you know, it's a blessing to me that I'm actually able to do this stuff, and it doesn't feel like work. You know, it feels like just I'm doing what I love. And you know, Animal Crossing is a game that I've got deep and rooted passion for, so it just makes it easy. You know, it's not a game that I like, or I kind of like, or, you know, hey, it's a good game. Like, I love this franchise. So for me, it's fun to do what I got to do.
And I mean, I think that love and passion really comes through, because you do get, your videos get so many good reactions. Like the last one we were looking at had 99 likes already. And your subscribers, you've got so many subscribers, there's so many people that like what you do. How long have you been like working on building it up? How long have you been streaming for and that sort of thing?
So I've been doing YouTube for about 5 years now. So this has been a 5-year process. Streaming and stuff, I started streaming on Twitch about 3 years ago. But for 5 years I've been content creating. And I started out doing YouTube videos, and then I just led into podcasting, and I love podcasting. I think podcasting is such a fun thing to do, especially when you get to do stuff like this. Like, to think that I have 2 podcasts that I do on the regular, and both of my hosts are not even in the United States. So I do a Cuppa Joe and Nintendo with my buddy Sean, who lives in Canada, and then I do Breaking Bells with Holly, and she's over in the UK. And it's like, this is crazy that like I can actually talk to people from around the world, but to do stuff like this with you guys and to meet you guys, and that's what I love about this. Like, all the people that I've met over time and created these friendships and built these bonds with people, and it's like no other. Like, that's the thing. It's like I live my own little world that nobody even knows about, you know, and my family's just starting to learn about it. Like, I've been doing this for 5 years, and everybody's like, what are you talking about? What's YouTube? Like, what do you what do you mean that you're podcasting? Like, what is happening? And like, my dad still doesn't comprehend what I'm doing, and my mom is really engaged in it, and she's become part of what I do now, because like on Friday nights we call her live on the stream, and we have a conversation with her for about 10 minutes before I actually start playing anything. And so it's been crazy, you know, to be able to do this. But like, so I started 5 years ago, been going strong, ups and downs. You know, you have your times where you're really grinding and you're busting your butt doing everything you can, and then you hit your times where it's just like you're kind of on cruise control. But I can honestly say that I've been putting out the same amount of content for 5 years. Like, literally, like anywhere from 3 to 5 videos a week, streaming, podcasts, all that stuff. Like, it's just been something I love to do, and I want to see this come full circle and be something that I can do full time. So it's just a drive that I have and a push.
I mean, I could really see that happening, because like you were mentioning there with like the streams where you like call your mum and stuff, I just think it's that kind of really nice human nature aspect of things that makes somebody really likable and like really pushes them that far. And it's really nice how, like, you know, you focus in on that and build that relationship with your family even into what you're doing, and that's really nice.
Yeah, the thing is, and I think this is something that anybody can learn, and the truth is like, what I've really learned over the past 5 to 6 months, as long as Animal Crossing's been around, like, for a very long time, it was, what do I need to do to make this happen? What do I need to do what I gotta do, and to get this to the next level? And then it just clicked. And it's not me. It's we. It's what do we need to do? And the we is the community. And it's not a matter of, like, you are never going to do this alone. You are never going to get the growth you want by yourself. You need to engage with your community. You need to support them. You need to show them that you're not just, you know, someone that's behind a camera that's talking to them. You need to listen to them. You need to play games with them. You need to do the things that you love to do when you can do with them. And that's the thing. Like, we're about to become, hopefully, knock on wood, God willing, become partner with Twitch. And that was seriously nothing that I did me. Like, that was, I did to me. I did to me for 3 years and didn't grow. You know, we had an average of about 9 people that would come to the streams on the regular. And then when Animal Crossing launched, I just looked at it and was like, we're going to build a community. We're going to work together. We're going to have this embracing thing with the community. And literally, I went to them and was like, I need your help. I cannot do this alone. I need you guys to help me get to partner. This is what I need to do it. And they immediately turned around and go, what do you need us to do? And I'm like, I need you to show up. I need you to tell people. I need you to just, let's hang out. And literally, I fire up the stream and they all show up. You know, I used to go to the stream, I'd fire up the stream, I'd sit there for 3 to 5 minutes by myself, waiting for someone to show up and chat. Now, I fire up the stream, and by the time I sit down to go, the chat's already fired up and people are talking to each other. And I'm like, that's what it's all about. Like, that's the drive in the community that I love. And that's what gets me so fired up to do this. Like, that's what gets me, like, when you see people and you realize that what you're doing is impactful to people. That's what is so inspiring about what I do and what I love about what I do.
Yeah, see, we've been in very much the same boat with stuff like that. Like, we were kind of making our own videos for a while, and we've been through your channel, and we've seen some of your earlier videos. Like, you had this show that I actually really, really like the premise of. I think it's called Check Your Facts or Get Your Facts Straight. And that was a really interesting kind of concept. Almost like you're actually being a fly on the wall in, like, someone's social thing. And that's kind of what we were doing at the start. More like, you know, kind of self-contained episodes. But like you were saying with this Animal Crossing thing, we started to really gain, you know, like, the traction we have. Like, we're very, very, you know, little on subscribers so far. But we've really started to see growth when we started doing the 5-Star Island tours. And it's exactly what you were saying, you know, we were, like, reaching out to people on Twitter, and then they were showing us around their islands, and we were asking them questions, and they were, like, retweeting the videos. They were getting really excited, telling us, you know, I was going to reset my island, thanks so much for doing this. And it really has built a community. And in terms of starting off from, like, making self-contained videos to going on to being a part of a community, do you have, say, any advice to, you know, just YouTubers that are just starting out at all?
Absolutely. I mean, first off, don't go crazy buying equipment. The only piece of equipment you should probably worry about having is a microphone. Get yourself a good microphone, because sound quality is everything when you're doing this stuff. But that aside, you have to love what you're doing. I talk about this all the time. You have to love what you're doing. Because if you don't love what you're doing, I promise you, you're going to hit a day where you have deadlines and you have to get videos up. And you're up against the wall and you have to crunch, and you're going to have to sit back in your studio and edit and make thumbnails and do all that stuff. And that's the work of it. Making and producing and creating is the easy part of it. That's the simple part. It's the other stuff that is very difficult. The editing, the adding the music, the finding the music, the downloading the music, the making the thumbnail, finding the pictures, thinking of the proper title, putting the title up, thinking of all the tags and stuff you're going to put. That's the hard work. That's the stuff that it takes years and years and years to figure out, to get it down. You have to love what you're doing, because I promise you, if you don't love what you're doing, when it gets hard, you're going to quit, because there's going to be nothing that makes you come back. You're just going to sit there and go, oh, I don't feel like editing today. You know what? I'll do it tomorrow. And then you're done. But when you love it, it's a no-brainer. You just sit there and go, you know what? I'm going to go edit today. Done. I don't want to do it. You know what? Doesn't matter. I'm going to do it because tomorrow I get to do something even more fun, and I'm going to go do that. And it's like, that's the thing. Like, I have been through peaks and valleys throughout the past 5 years of everything. Like, and that's the one key takeaway that I've always had, is that I love what I'm doing. Because if you don't start. That's the only thing I can. That's probably the biggest piece of advice.
No, definitely.
You know,
like,
and here's the other thing too, because I've been watching a lot of different things as well, and these two people are really inspirational and will really help you out. There's a YouTuber named Harris Heller. He's got a YouTube channel, Alpha Gaming. Go watch Harris. He helps so much. He calls himself the Stream Doctor, but he teaches you so much stuff about cameras and audio and all this crazy stuff. And he's constantly telling you this versus this and this microphone against this microphone and all that stuff. So go check him out. The other one is Gary V. Gary V is kind of like an inspirational guy. He's a little bit older, probably in his 40s, but man, he is on fire when it comes to like being inspirational when it comes to content creating. And he seriously just like tells you, like, stop focusing on the little things. Like, who cares how many subscribers you have? Just focus on the content. The subscribers will come, and I can attest to that. Like, subscribers will show up. They're going to get there eventually. You just have to be patient and not worry, and don't focus on the numbers. The numbers mean nothing. Don't worry about dislikes. You're going to get dislikes on videos. And what people don't realize, the dummies that dislike it just because they don't like you or they think you are somebody they don't want to be or know, they're helping your algorithm. YouTube does not look at likes versus dislikes. YouTube looks at it as like, hey, somebody clicked a button. So these people had such an effect on the community that somebody clicked a button. Didn't matter if it was a dislike. So they don't look at that stuff. It does not affect finances or any of that, or whether you get recommended or any of that. Like, they look at the algorithm and they go, oh, they're getting interaction. We're going to push this. So that's just a couple extra add-ons that I thought people should probably know too.
No, that is actually really quite inspirational, because at the stage we're at now, a lot of the things you were saying kind of, I don't know, really spoke to me, like, personally, because, like, the things about it being difficult if you're not really passionate about what you're doing. There's been, like, days where, say, we've had a concept for, like, you know, we're just going to have a random dream address, we're going to have that, you know, we're going to tour that island, we're going to get that video out, and at that time our capture card was really, really playing up, and just reviewing that footage, even though we loved the island, it was one of those things where it was like, oh, but is it worth, you know, tracking down that code, doing it again, or, you know, I really struggled with that, versus if it was someone that invited us to their island, they had a vision for it, they'd answered questions, and the video was going to make them happy. It kind of makes a difference when you look at it like that. But in regards to, like, you mentioned those two YouTubers who we'll definitely be sure to check out and mention in the description. But in terms of what influenced your recent content, maybe Animal Crossing, or just starting YouTube in general, do you have any YouTubers that you personally looked up to before that, or joined that?
As far as, like, inspirations, I mean, I have a lot of people that I really like, and that I lean on. You know, like, Chase Crossing, good friend. I love his content. Switch Force, Zach. I like Zach. Zach's a good guy. He's nice to talk to kind of bounce ideas off of if you run into a problem. My good friend Sean Capri, like he is one of my best friends, and literally like if I run into jams, him and I just have conversations and we go over stuff. But like there are so many great content creators out there. Console Kato, she's doing phenomenal stuff when it comes to Animal Crossing. Holly Crossing's doing phenomenal stuff. Poke Crossing, a new Charlotte, she's a new YouTuber that I stumbled upon a couple weeks ago, and I love her content. There's a new one today that I found. Oh my god, this girl is so awesome. She does such great builds. I gotta excuse me for that. I just gotta look this up because this girl is so good. Oh, red leaf pile. Holy cow! Like she does builds and is unbelievable. She does speed builds, and I just watched the decorating concepts, and it's so amazing. But as far as like inspiration, when I first was starting out, I mean, I watched like, I watched like the BitBlock for quite a while because Josh was doing a lot of Animal Crossing content back in the day. Rogers Base, another one, Miss Click. Unfortunately, they've all become my friends, and I'm able to talk to them if I ever have questions or whatever, and all that stuff. But like, there's a lot of great content creators out there, and but as far as inspiring, like I always looked at years ago there was a group of people in IGN. They did a podcast called Podcast Beyond, and then they went on to do Kind of Funny, and that's Greg Miller. At the time was Colin Moriarty, both of those two. And Colin, I really drew a lot of inspiration off of because as he would talk about things, him growing up in New York, and I live in New Jersey in the United States, we're very close in age, and we're very close in territories. So we had a lot of the same things growing up. Like, as he would talk about things from his youth, it leaned on me and was like, wow, that sounds similar to me growing up. So one time I was watching one of his videos, and he's the one that talked about, like, you gotta love what you're doing, you gotta be inspired by what you're doing. But the one thing he said was, and this is something that holds true, was stay consistent. Find what you're doing, stay consistent. You have to produce the content. It's gotta be there. If you tell somebody that you're gonna be able to give them video on every Wednesday, you better be there every Wednesday. Like, show up and give them what it is. So stay consistent because that's what's going to grow your base. That's what's going to grow your audience. And that stuck with me. That was big time stuck with me. And that was the thing I did. I looked at it and was like, you know what? He's right. And I do. I try to stay as consistent as possible. I try to put out as much content as possible. Like, I look at my friends around me, right? I have this group of friends, PSVG and the cross players now. They used to be the Switch Island. And then I look at the Nintendo dads, and I look at the Mega dads, and I look at all these different groups of people that are around me, and they have teams around them. And my philosophy has always been outproduce, out-hustle. That's always been my philosophy. And my thing is I try to make them guys go, how the heck does Bobby do this? How is this guy working a full-time job and putting out all the content that he does? I don't understand. And I've always been like, you have a team, and I'm going to show you that I can put out as much content, if not more, than you're doing as a team. And it's always driven me. I've been always very competitive growing up. And that's something that's always driven me to be like, do the best that you can do. Put out the best quality that you can and as much as you can to keep people interested. And that's the thing. I always want people to come to my channel and go, oh, Bobby's got a new video up. Let's go watch it. Like, so there's always something there for people, and I always try to do that. It's not always easy, but it's always fun.
That's brilliant.
And that's definitely something that has come across instantly. Like we were saying, like, literally when you told us that first time that you had the full-time job along with all those uploads, I couldn't believe it, because it is, like, it's crazy. Like, at the start of us doing the island tours, we were really getting into this rhythm where Millie would go on Twitter and look for islands to tour, reach out to people, and from there I'd do the editing and creating the thumbnails and stuff. And it got to the stage where we put all of our island tours, all the information there on post-it notes for the editing order. And at one point we had a wall full of tours to do. We were trying to do them daily. And for both, even with two people, at the end of the second week, it was kind of weighing down on me. I wouldn't stop doing it because the reactions from people were all so positive, and just doing them was amazing. Some of the islands we've seen have been absolutely fantastic. But literally, I couldn't imagine being kind of my own entity, having to do the editing, the thumbnails, uploading that much. It's so inspiring. It really is. And I do mean that. It is awesome how much you produce. It is great.
Listen, if I can do it, anybody can do it. That's the way I look. That's the biggest takeaway. You look at me and you go, "This idiot can do it. Anybody can do it." So that should be an inspiration on its own right.
I mean, an element of this that we've not even really considered yet is we've talked about the editing and the filming, but there's an entire world out there where you have to form the connections first. Like you said, there's so many people who you've really made a connection with, who appear on your podcast, who you can go to for advice, and just working on getting those opportunities and meeting those people. That's another whole time zone in itself. You found a really... Sorry, what was that?
Yeah, I was going to say, real quick, I don't mean to cut you off,
No, I'm sorry.
What you want to think about is this. I mean, you watch YouTube videos, right?
Yeah, lots.
Before you start making content, you watch videos. What's the one thing that drives you bananas about content creators? That you sit there and you go I watch all your videos, but the one thing that used to always drive me crazy was they never answer my questions, or they never acknowledge me in the comments. And I have always been driven to just be I want people to know that I've read their comments, that I've acknowledged them, even if it's a matter of me just putting a heart on their comments. And I try to answer every question in the comments, or every comment in the every comment, everything. When people interact, I try to be there to interact back, because to me that's where the heart comes from.
Yeah.
You get to know your audience. When I'm streaming and people show up, the names, I recognize them because I've seen them in my comment section. And then then they start showing up in your Discord, and you're like, "Hey, I know you." And and it's you think about it. If you went to your favorite YouTuber and you left a comment on their thing, and not only did they reply to the comment, but then when you took the chance and you were bold enough to go, "Hey, I'm going to join their Discord," not only did you join their Discord, but they're among the people talking in the Discord, and they're welcoming you in, and they're having conversations with you. It makes you feel like you're part of it. And I feel too, if you're part of the community, if you're interacting with the community can't get toxic because you're right there amongst them. You got your eyes on everything. You see what's going on. And not only that, if people know you're there, they're less than likely to start stuff, because they look at it and go, "You know what? I don't want to disrespect Bobby. If I have a problem with this person, I'll take it up with them privately," or whatever. And I think that's an important thing, is as you grow, as you get bigger, keep your finger on the pulse. Stay involved with your community. Now, I'm sure there's content creators have millions and millions of subs. That becomes very super difficult. But I feel I have 6,000 subs, I think, on YouTube. And I think we got 800 plus people in Discord. Man, that's the biggest thing for me, is to stay involved with people, to do game nights with people occasionally, to just show them that I'm there and I'm a part of the community. Because it's our community. Why would I want to start this thing and then not be a part of it? That doesn't make sense to me. And I feel like that's such a missed opportunity for so many people. And they make themselves, I don't call the people that follow me fans. I hate that word. I think it's a disgusting word. We're family.
Yeah, it's equals.
When you have problems, I'm there to talk to you. Because when I'm sick and all the outpouring, well, you better bet your butt that when someone tells me that they lost a family member, or so-and-so is sick, or their kid got sick, or I want to be there to say, like, hey, man, I hope you're doing okay. Like, it doesn't take but a second as a content creator to pop into your Discord and say, hey, good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a great day today. Like, it goes such a long way. And it's a genuine thing that you're doing to let the community know that, like, I'm here and I love you guys, and we're in this together. And that's something that I think gets missed by so many people. So that's something I always strive to do.
That's such a nice approach. Like, I absolutely love what you just said there about kind of how you like to reply to everybody and the not liking the fans because it's like a family, it's an equal thing. Like, you've said that you don't look at the numbers. It's not about the subscribers. It's not about the likes. It's about building something more important. Like, for example, in the comments when you have that interaction with people. And I completely agree with you on that. Like, we've found some people, like, just through doing our tours, and for all it might be just like a small group, regardless of how many subscribers there is out there or how many likes there is on a video, at the heart of it, there's like people there that, for example, we had to go back into a lockdown recently, and there was this one girl who follows us, who let us tour our island, and she'd seen that, what was going on in the news with us, and so she just like did some custom designs of the image for our island and just sent them to us, like, you know what, I heard you're having a bad day, and like, these are for you. And you can get something really nice just, taken away from the numbers. It's about what's actually at the heart of that.
Yep.
And like, it does make a difference just reaching out and being, a person, like, to not try and like lose yourself in like, how busy you are or anything. Like, literally after all the tours, it's really great to build upon that. Like, we always make a point of, giving people that have let us tour, our friend code, sending out gifts to them on a daily basis. And here's the thing, like, a lot of people can just spew this kind of advice about, not worrying about subscribers or being friendly and communicating. But you are definitely a person that actually does that in practice. Like, you mentioned before, Poke Crossing. Now, we've spoken to Poke Crossing a few times. They've like commented on a few of our videos in the past. And us, like, both people that you interact with quite a few less subscribers, and yet you always make the time to shout them out, to retweet, and even coming on here, literally I was blown away because, like you say, in terms of commenting on your favourite YouTubers or bigger YouTubers, comment sections or DMs, like, I genuinely went into that hoping, but I honestly thought that we weren't going to get a reply, and so to get that reply and to be here now is just amazing.
I've been where you are. That's the key. I've been where you are. Everybody has been where you are. And it drives me bananas when I see people that won't even reply. It takes 2 seconds to reply. Here is literally, we've been chatting for 30, 40 minutes now at this point, right? What does it hurt me to give up an hour, maybe an hour and a half of my Saturday? Doesn't bother me at all. Doesn't hurt me at all. But you know what? It helps you guys. You know what? And it might even help me in a little bit. It's not, it's the thing of it is you gotta work with each other and you gotta help each other. And we live in this time that there's enough BS going on in the world that why do we need to be greedy? And why do we need to be that person that's worried about me? And it's, that's the thing. Like, you watch some content creators that will only work with people that have higher sub counts than them or equal sub counts to them. And I'll work with anybody because I feel like you can learn something from everybody. It doesn't matter if that person has 1 sub or 1,000,000 subs. I guarantee you, when that time is done that you spend with that person, you're going to learn something. What I'm taking back from right now today is here's two young people who have a passion, who are driving for something. They created something that I wanted to do, a podcast within Animal Crossing, where you come into a studio and you actually do something in Animal Crossing. And I haven't even done it yet. And it's something I wanted to do before the thing even started. And I look at this, I go, this is inspiring. If these two can do this and make this set look this cool with the posters and the cameras and the microphones, why can't I do this? You know, and it's like, so this is something that I learned today that I come over. And not only that, like, you guys are to a fault, because I'm getting ready to, at the beginning of the call, I'm getting ready to tell you, it's like, stop thanking me. Stop being so nice. Because you guys are super nice. And it's like, but I don't know that unless I come here. And it's, the thing of it is like, I even had that when I first started doing the Animal Crossing stuff, and people were like inviting me to their islands, and I would come over, like when we were trading stuff, and they were like, I can't believe that you came here. I'm like, why? And they're like, because I am like such a big fan. And I'm like, you're not a fan. That's number one, so stop that. And number two, of course I would come. Like, this is an honor for me to come here. It's an honor that you watch my content. Like, for you to reach out, I know how hard it is to write that email. I've done that and had nobody even reply. It's the worst feeling in the world. At least tell me F off. Tell me get lost. I would prefer that than you not answer me. Because at least if you tell me that, at least you acknowledge that I'm alive. And then you're like, hey, sorry, you're not of my grade caliber. I don't want to work with you. That's fine. But to not acknowledge somebody is the worst thing in the world. So 9 times out of 10, if I don't acknowledge you, because I just didn't say it. But I will always at least reply to people. Because it's a nice thing to do. It's the human thing to do. So.
And like you said, you never know where like the next thing's coming from, where in terms of like what you can learn from people. Like that comment that you like, that comment that somebody might ignore could be their next island tour that's going to get hundreds of views, but they decided not to reach out to them, to not be nice, to not be polite. They just saw it and was like, oh, it's just somebody that like, that don't have a real channel or don't have subscribers. It's nothing. Let's just leave it. And you don't know what's going to come of anything in life unless you, like, kind of reach out halfway.
Yeah, and absolutely.
So you can certainly miss out on things by not doing that.
Karma's a big thing. You know what I mean? Like, do unto others. That's the way, like, I was raised. You know, as a kid growing up, my dad would always tell me these things. Like, if you don't want somebody doing stuff to you, don't do it to them. Like, if you treat people the way, I mean, it's so cliche, but it's the way I was brought up, you know, and I tell this story all the time, and I'm sure people that know me are probably tired of me talking about it, but it's something that holds true, and it's something that I've believed all my life. And when I was a kid, I want to say that I was about 10 or 12 years old, and I was getting ready to go try out for this baseball all-star team. And I was having a bad year, and I was struggling that year. And I'm sitting in my grandfather's house, and I'm sitting there watching TV, and he's like, we both got the same name, you know, I was named after him. And he's like, so Bobby, you ready for this tryout? And I said, I don't know. And he's like, what's the matter? And I said, I'm just not that good. These guys they're so much better than me, and I don't know, man. I'm just having a real tough time. He's like, what do you mean? And I told him that, like, you know, they're some, because I was struggling this year, some of them making fun of me, and he stopped me. So let me tell you something. He goes, nobody is better than you. They might have better hair. They might have better eyes. They might be able to play music better than you. They might be able to draw better than you. They might be able to write better than you. They are not better than you. And don't ever let anybody make you feel like they're better than you. And don't you ever treat somebody like you're better than them. And it's just something that I've grown up and I've always believed. And that's the thing, like, people, we don't know what somebody's going through on a particular day. And, like, somebody takes the time to write you an email or write you a DM to take a shot to get you on their show. What does it take to just reply? Even if you can't do it. Like, even if you're not, like, that's just something you're not into. Just type back and say, hey, man, you know what? Thank you for the opportunity. I really, truly appreciate it. Right now, I'm just way too busy, and I can't do it. But you know what? Try again in, 6 months or something. Maybe some stuff will free up. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. So, that's what I think.
That is really inspiring. I remember hearing that. I can't remember if it was on a Nook Talk or another video, but it is such an inspiration. I mean, you are such a positive person. Now, I don't mean to make things negative, but are you never worried in yourself that by being so nice and friendly, always like kind of replying to DMs and comments, that within like this kind of era of cancel culture, you might be more susceptible to a DM being taken out of context or something like that? Like, does it never worry you at all in this current climate?
I mean, it's always in the back of your head, right? I mean, it's always something that's there. And I mean, I kind of was going through that this past week, my own little type of cancel culture when I left Nook Talk. A portion of people decided that they felt like I was being misogynistic when I made reference to female anatomy when I was talking about somebody. And the whole Verlisify situation where he was targeting people in the LGBTQ community and getting their islands taken down, and he was making videos mocking them and laughing at them. And during Nook Talk, I got very animated and very passionate about the situation, and I just lost myself in the moment and referred to him in a derogatory manner. And I didn't, at the time, I wasn't looking at the chat, so I wasn't really paying attention to the chat. I was just looking at Pat directly in the camera, and I didn't realize that I had upset a bunch of women in the chat. And the main thing for me is I never want my words to hurt people's feelings. It never dawned on me in a million years that saying that would come off as misogynistic or anything like that. And the last thing I ever want to do is hurt the people, especially the people that I feel like I'm defending. And it was something that really, it crushed me. So this week, I kind of went on the defensive because I felt like I didn't mean anything malicious, but you're coming at me, you're attacking me, and it kind of broke me down a little bit and upset me to the point where I got more vehement or more venomous and went back at people, back and forth on Twitter and stuff. And I finally just was like, this is dumb. This is so dumb that we're getting caught up in all this. I know that my intentions weren't bad. If I hurt people, then I'm absolutely sorry about that. Like, that's the last thing I want to do in a million years. If I upset people and I hurt them and I made them feel some sort of way, like, absolutely, I apologize for that. That's the last thing I ever want to do to anybody. But I also feel like when someone is attacking a community based on their sexual preference, that is the most disgusting thing you can do. One of the most disgusting things you can do. And it turns into a bullying format. And my feeling, again, I come from a different era. My feeling has always been growing up is the easiest way to handle a bully is you punch a bully in the mouth, or you go right back at the bully, and the bully typically cowers back and gets scared because that's all they are. Yeah. They're preying on your fears. And I've been raised a different mentality, a different era than a lot of the people that watch the content. A lot of people that watch the content, they're just raised in a more like passive way of like, that's not how you handle things. You try to talk them out and all that stuff. But I'm in a situation where a guy is making fun of the LGBTQ community. He's mocking them. And I'm sitting there going like, well, I have a voice. I can stand up for these people. And I'm going to do it the way I know how. And the way I knew how was to go back at him directly and as poignantly as he did to them. Some people thought it was wrong. A lot of people praised me and really reached out to me privately and were like, I was literally in tears watching you defend us. Thank you for that. We're so used to being kicked when we're down. You, as a straight man, to defend us means so much. Thank you for that. And it's something that do I regret the end results and how it got blown up? Of course. But if you ask me if I would do it again, yeah, I would probably do it again, because that's just the type of person I am. In the terms of like, I'm very passionate. I live by this thing of like, I wear my heart on my sleeve, man, and I'm very passionate when I talk about things and I do things. But as far as like, kind of get back a little bit to what you're talking about, the cancel culture was always very poignant, and it's always in the back of my mind. My girlfriend's all the time saying to me like, "You gotta be careful who you're talking to. You don't know who you're talking to. You don't know who you're talking." I feel, I don't know, man. I feel like as long as I keep the conversation very basic, very scrubbed down, very point A, point B, it's okay. Don't joke. Don't do things that are a little bit out of line until you get to know the person. And I feel like that's just good for anybody.
Yeah.
I don't have any, I have no intentions on trying to hook up with any of my audience, so I don't have the need to flirt with them or any of that stuff. So that keeps it very easy for me to not worry about that end of it. But like you say, can things get taken out of context? I'm sure they can. But I always try to just keep it like, what are you asking me? Let me answer that question. Boom. Yeah. You know, and that's it. And just keep it to that level. But it's very difficult at times. I'm not going to lie. It's very difficult.
And I completely understand what you were saying there. And I think in terms of even if, you know, one comment wasn't made that was, you know, taken out of context by somebody, I think just listening to the way that you speak and the things you speak about, like the amount of times you've mentioned your family, like just the core values that you can see in you, it's almost like, you know, you can't, for all it may have been able to be taken out of context, from what you can hear from this person, like, and look at the rest of what they say as well, you definitely can't go after a person like you, because there's just so much niceness. And I can completely understand, you know, why you had the reaction that you did, because the Animal Crossing community is so lovely. There's so many nice people. And
yes,
like you said, making the nice relationships that, you know, we all have with the people we've met through this, to then see somebody like that who comes, and people have found like a comfort within this, where you have friends that like come to your island, you help each other out, and to have somebody who makes you feel kind of misplaced within your comfort zone, it's just a horrible, horrible thing to do to somebody. And I know there's been controversy, for example, with people researching dream codes just so they can report people's islands. They're getting taken off online. They're not being able to spend time with their friends. And it's just kind of like, why would you go out of your way to target somebody and make their life more difficult, when really like there's just no sense behind it? Like, we have seen some incredible islands, and that's kind of what we review. We look and see what these amazing people create. It's not about, you know, they are who they are. We're not there to judge a person. We're there to comment on their island, and that's why you get friends for Animal Crossing. You want to see what people create and how they express themselves on their island. It really isn't a place for people to go like digging at each other. And so yeah, to get angry over seeing something like that is completely understandable.
Yeah, I agree.
I like you say, like,
it's tough. But, no, go ahead.
No, but I was just gonna say that, like you were saying, a load of people were thanking you, and it, like, literally the outcry of people thanking you for defending the community was so loud that it literally did, like, you know, it reached us. Like, we use Twitter primarily to, you know, scout for island tours and to keep in touch with mutuals. But I remember, just as this everything was happening, we like refreshed the Twitter feed, and literally, no exaggeration, the most recent 10, maybe 12 tweets were all retweets from, you know, people supporting you, thanking you, and that's really what prompted us to kind of reach out. Like, it was just, I don't know, obviously it's never nice to go through any controversy, but just the fact that we looked on Twitter one night and we saw nothing but support for someone, it was quite uplifting, even, you know, just watching from the sidelines. And
I think in a way it is important to have someone like you within the community, because when people are getting things said like that, they feel targeted, they feel hurt, and they don't always have the confidence to kind of, you know, vocalize their opinions. They're obviously going to feel quite reserved and quite hurt. And so to have somebody who can have that voice when they don't, I mean, the thanks you got from those people, like, it's because people do need someone who can voice things for them when they can't do it themselves.
No, you're right. You're right, and it's you know, I talked about this a little bit in a stream recently. When I was a kid, I think I want to say I was like 8 or 9 years old, and we used to go to. At the time, I was in the Catholic Church, and we were doing this thing called CCD. It's like it's like basically like Bible study. And my cousin and she went with me to this class, and the boys in there were making fun of her. And me and her never really got along as a kid, as kids. Today, we get along great. We get along perfectly. You know, we talk a lot. We you know, we don't have any issues. But when we were kids, it was just like oil and water. We just couldn't stand each other. And these boys were making fun of her. And I go home, and we're having dinner, and I'm laughing and telling my dad, oh, yeah, they said she was ugly, and they were just mocking her. Like, I wouldn't say mocking at that age. I was like, they were teasing her, and, you know, they were telling her that they would never date her, they would never marry her, she was too ugly, she'll never get married, she'll never have a boyfriend. And I'm telling my dad, like, isn't that so funny? And he looked at me, and he's like, what's wrong with you? And he's like, let me tell you something. He goes, number one, that's your cousin. Number two, that's a girl. Number three, if I ever hear that somebody's making fun of a woman, let alone your family members, and you're laughing about it, I'm not doing anything to them. I'm taking you home and I'm whipping your butt. Because that's ridiculous. You should be better than that. You are, you know, I didn't raise you to be a bully. And that's not going to happen in this house. And if it does, then we're going to correct it our own way. And we're going to make sure that you don't ever think about doing it again. So I've always been raised that way of like, I don't accept bullies. Like, and like I said to you earlier, like I was raised that like, you step in, you say something.
Yeah.
Like, if you keep your mouth shut, you are part of the problem. You know, and we live in a society now that when there's something going on, what's the first thing people do? They pull out their cameras and start recording. No. Don't pull the camera out and start recording. Step in. Say something. Like, get involved. Don't let somebody do something to somebody. I know you're afraid. Everybody's afraid. But odds are, 9 times out of 10, the person that's bullying is even more afraid. And they'll back down. And you just gotta, like, have this mentality of you can't let people just walk on people. And especially for something that is so stupid as, like, your sexual preference or anything like that. Like, I promise you, you're going to hit a point in your life when you wake up and you actually know who you are. And when you're young, everything is so confusing. And you don't know what's up, what's down, what's left, what's right. You think you do. You think you got a grasp on life, and you think you know what's going on. But you really, I assure you, you really don't. And there'll come a day when you wake up, and all of a sudden, it just clicks. I can't explain it and how and why, but it just does. And all of a sudden you go, everything that I've been doing for the last 30 years, 40 years, just makes sense now. And you just start to get it of who you are, and you stop being afraid of what people think and what people say, and it just doesn't matter. And like, there's so much going on in the world that we need to worry about. That's what people think about you is the last thing you should ever worry about. You should only worry about the things that you can control in life. And what are the things you can control? Your health, your finances, like in terms of like, are the bill collectors coming after me? Well, I didn't get to work today, so that's why I gotta make money today to go pay my bills. The things that you can control, how the people around you feel because of the way you make them feel, that's what you control. But if you guys sit here and we hang up the call and you go, man, that Bobby, he is such an idiot. Why do I care? Your opinion means nothing to me, because the fact of the matter is if that's the way you feel, we'll probably never talk again. And what do I lose from that? Doesn't mean anything. I can't control it. I can't change your thought. I can't change your beliefs. So why do I care? Just live my life the best that I can live it. And I think that's what happens is you have a younger society right now that they get caught up a little bit about like what people think about them, and eventually they'll hit the point where they go, you know what? I don't need to prove anything to you. I live my life the way I live it. I love who I love. I love what I love. And if you don't like it, too bad. And I mean, to be honest, we've come way far away in this country, in this world. You know, where I remember growing up as a kid, like you didn't have men and women kissing on TV. Like that was never done on TV. And now it's all over. You know what I mean? It's accepted, and people don't talk about it. You know, and that whole thing has come such a far way. I mean, in the United States, you can get married now. You know, if you're gay and stuff like that, and that was never done back when I was a kid. So progress is happening. Just don't worry about people. Like, fight for your rights, absolutely. But who cares what people think? Like, you can't control them. Who cares?
No, that is actually really powerful, you know, because in terms of not bothering what people think, it's one of those things where I guess it just boils down to being a decent human being, and, you know, what could make someone's day. If you've kind of got a responsibility that if someone kind of reaches out to you, they're kind of nice, they're friendly, if they have a request or something, for example, while we're doing our interview section of the island tours, we always kind of make it a point to ask what people's pronouns are, and it's surprising because we have both come from families of a much like older generation. Obviously, like, age isn't an indicator of how tolerant someone will be, but certainly in our cases it's definitely a removed environment. And so when we did these questions asking pronouns, 9 times out of 10 the person will be surprised when they reply, like, oh, can we just point out we love this question, it's really made our day. And for all it's not something that's been embedded into in terms of social culture, like, you know, or at least not to the extent of, you know, not bullying people because of their appearance or because of any differences. It's something that you can look at, and it's very easy to implement into your own, not your own beliefs, but in your own practices. And if it means an awful lot to people, then there's absolutely no reason why that shouldn't be a case. Certainly not in, like, the grand scheme of things. Like, I definitely believe in spreading this type of positivity, and so it's really great to, like, have you here to, like, you know, exemplify that.
Thank you. Well, the funny thing is when you asked the question, I was like, I didn't even think about it. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, wow. And I even put he, him, a-hole. Because I just look at it like, call me what you want to call me. I don't care. Like, it's fine. Like, I'll answer to anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just how I am. But I totally, like, seeing you put that question in there, I thought, wow, that is a thing, like, in the younger generation today, that, like, that's what, you know, it's a respect thing. And you're just trying to show the proper respect. And that's, to me, it's admirable that you're doing that you're taking that step into what you're doing. You know, it's a different world. It's definitely a different world out there, but I don't think that people, and that was, I think, what got me fired up in that moment, was when he pointed out in one of his videos that, like, hey, look in their Twitter profile, most of them say, you know, she, her, or he, him. Like, they're the ones we got to go after. They're the biggest criminals in all this. And I was just like, man, you got real, you know, big ones on you to be saying something like that. Like, why would you target people? And it just infuriated me to a point where I was just like, you know, I just let it fly. You know, that's just, unfortunately, that sometimes gets me in trouble. But that's, you know, it's who I am. You know, and it's just how I was raised. And, you know, I would rather, at the end of the day, I would rather get people mad at me for mistakenly saying something out of context than being on the side that is, you know, attacking somebody in a bully fashion. You know, that's the thing for me, is I would rather not be that side of things. So I'm okay with people being upset with me if I said something out of line. Like, I feel bad that I hurt people, or I upset people, or I offended people. That's the last thing I want to do. But at the end of the day, my message was, this guy needs to be stopped, and this is not okay. And I'm going to voice that I'm not okay with it, and it is what it is. So, but yeah, I totally admire what you guys are doing in terms of you're just trying to be proactive in showing the love and being, protective of people's feelings.
I think, and do you know what? Just bringing up this topic, I feel like it's reinforced in my mind some of the things that you were saying, that like bullies tend to be weak behind that facade, and like you see people put he, she, they, them, and do you know what? Full respect to them, like they can actually be happy because they have embraced and are fully aware of who they are within themselves. And so it's kind of like, if you have to go out of your way to bully somebody who's kind of embraced themselves that well, then you must have some really bad insecurities within inside yourself if you're just picking up on somebody's own confidence.
Yeah. I mean, it's, the thing is that, like, I live by the thing of, like, I don't want certain things that define me. Like, I want to be able to just live my life the way I live it. I don't want terms or things like that to define me. I want to be like, I'm Bobby, this is who I am, this is how I am. But I feel like there are people that look at it and go like, I need certain things to, out of respect for others, I'm going to do these things that have to happen. But for someone to target that, to me, is absolutely disgusting. Like, that's not okay. Like, it's hard enough. I look at it like this. If someone is putting he, her, or, he, him, she, her, I would probably say a good portion of those people are struggling with some things in terms of, like, their family may not be accepting of it, and maybe they got to deal with, like, getting acceptance from their family, and they have a lot going on already in their minds, and voicing that in their pronouns makes them feel happy that they can at least tell people, like, this is what I live by, this is my credo, this is what I'm happy about. And for you to take that and try to make that a bad thing is really, to me, horrible. And that's something that I would never want to be a part of or be privy to or be around. So, I don't know anybody that could watch that video that he did, a couple of videos that he did, and walk away from that and go like, okay, I'm okay with this, or not feel rage for the things he was saying. And, it's disgusting to see people act like that. And, I just, I got a real problem with people like that. And I don't have a problem confronting those people because I feel like at the end of the day, they're cowards, and that's all it boils down to. You're not as strong-willed as you're trying to make people believe you are. Because if you were, you wouldn't have to attack people and beat them down to make yourself feel bigger and better.
Yeah. Okay, so I'd say that you actually raised a really interesting point there that I'd not thought about. Like, you said people put in the pronouns, maybe have like some other stuff going on at home, and being able to give that identity means something to them. Like, a lot of people have different profiles just for their Animal Crossing, so it's kind of like removed from them. So like, it's often that's where you'd see it on like Animal Crossing profiles where they do feel more comfortable to be themselves, and like, so to that end, they kind of like remove it from the issues at home, and this is their private account per se from the family where they are like themselves. And like, Animal Crossing is just a beautiful place to be able to really be who you are with people who maybe don't like identify to you as the you that's within society, however society is kind of perceiving you, but the you that you're presenting yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I suppose
I agree.
Sorry.
What did you say, JayBee?
No, it's okay. Continue.
No, I was gonna say, because the thing is, if mom and dad at home aren't accepting of the pronoun situation, or just hypothetically, let's just say that I, I felt like I'm really a woman, but I can't tell my parents. But you know what? They don't even go on Twitter, so I'll just create this thing, and at least here in Twitter, I can be who I want to be, and I can not have to worry about being judged. But then when you think you're safe, and then someone exposes that and tries to make you feel unsafe, that's the problem. You know what I mean? And I think the amount of messages that I receive from women who said that like their child had just come out to them and they were literally crying during the episode when I was defending, because they said like it made them feel like my child can be safe in this world because there's somebody like Bobby that can speak up and will speak up and defend my child. And like that to me, man, I literally just, I loved it. Like I'll say some things now that I probably might regret later, but it is what it is. We're having a good conversation, and I want to continue on and have some transparency. Growing up, my family is very conservative. We went to church at a young age, all through life. So we have religious beliefs. My uncle's a pastor. My mom goes to church a lot. My mom, like biblically wise, she doesn't really believe in, gay and lesbian, all that stuff, because in the Bible, apparently it's a sin or whatever. But I don't believe in those philosophies all the time, or the same philosophies. But I can tell you right now, being brought up a different way, me and my mom have had candid conversations about it, and especially about this particular situation. And even though she doesn't believe in it, she believes that you have the right to live your life the way you want to live your life. She doesn't believe that she has the right to tell you, no, you can't do this or you can't do that. And going to my mom after all of this and explaining the situation, she totally was like, you did the right thing. Like, you should defend people. So the one thing that I guess the reason why I brought it up is I want people to understand that, like, just because someone is, and that's what I think really enraged me about this guy, was he points out at one point that he is conservative, and but he utilizes Trump in one of the videos that says like Trump 2020 or something at the end of it, and that bothers me because I look at it and I go, here's a situation where sometimes I'm afraid to tell people I'm conservative because I think I get lumped in with somebody like that, and I'm not like that. Like, I can see things clearly. I can see that things aren't just black and white. There are gray areas in life, and people believe what they believe. And my upbringing, even though I was brought up conservative and all that stuff, my mom, who you would think would be like, absolutely, this guy is right. She wasn't. She was like, no, this guy's wrong. People can live their lives the way they have to live them. It's not my job to judge anybody. Yeah. And that's the way I feel. It's not my job to judge people. It's very difficult in this day and age to have conservative values. And what I view is, just to clarify, what I consider conservative values is, I just feel like you're a little bit more conservative financially. You're more fiscally responsible. You try to not do things that are a little bit on the crazy side. You don't live on the edge, that type of stuff. Like, that's my belief in my upbringing. And I also believe, like, work hard and all that stuff. And if you work hard, things will pay off for you and all that. It's just the way I was brought up. But I don't believe, I think there's a weird thing in this world right now where you have these two extremes. You have the left and the right, and the ultra left and the ultra right. And the middle is just quiet, because the middle doesn't want to get lumped in with the ultra right and the ultra left. And I always consider myself to be middle, right leaning. I believe in, gay marriage. I don't have a problem with gay marriage. I believe in the woman's right to choose what to do with her body. It's her body. She does what she wants to do with it. As a man, I don't have any right to tell anyone what she can do with her body, and so I've always believed in these different things. And my family, even though I was brought up conservative, they see the same things, and it bothered me when you have a guy being so vehemently nasty to people, then announce like he's kind of conservative. And I'm like, wow, dude, like that's disgusting to me. Yeah. As somebody that considers themselves to be conservative, you're going to get me lumped in with you. And that enraged me even more in the moment.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, I am nothing like this guy. And for him to come out and bully people and attack people based on their sexual preference is the most disgusting and nasty thing I've ever heard in my entire life. And I can't say the most disgusting, but probably one of the most disgusting things. And it just caused me to just fire back in the moment, So
yeah.
It's I think we just live in a world where we need to just listen to each other a little bit more and not, because there's people out there that are genuinely hurting and they just want to be heard. And we can just be kinder and quieter. Everybody wants to talk, to be the loudest voice, and hoping that the louder your voice makes you right. And that's not necessarily the truth. I think we just need to step back, listen to what people are saying, and just go, you know what? That makes sense. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, you're right. That does make sense. And like just kind of weave our way through life the best we can and just try not to hurt people. Not go out of your way to purposely hurt people. And I think that's the end result at the end of the day where we need to be.
I completely agree with those values, and I do think like one common misconception is like with that guy, for all it's all with the beliefs thing, for all that's his beliefs. I feel like huge respect to you and your mum who can say, look, I have this position, but I understand that's not their position or their position. Like, there's a lot of people who think that because they have a belief, it's a law as opposed to a belief, and that they feel like it like needs to be everybody else's mindset. But the fact that both you and your mum can explore like other people's beliefs and, that it's your beliefs that set your lifestyle as opposed to just a kind of prototype that every life needs to abide by is like just really inspiring to kind of show that there is that huge difference for all. Say somebody might identify as like conservative or whatever. It's just like, that's one mindset, but it's not how things are for everyone.
I agree. And I mentioned earlier, like I came from, a Christian background. I used to go to church all the time, but I also feel that like, no matter who you believe, if you believe in a higher power, the God that I believe in loves and is a loving God. I cannot see for the life of me that he puts us on this earth. If you believe, you may not believe, and that's fine if you don't believe in God. Everybody has the right to believe what they believe. But my God, hopefully, is a loving God. And I can't see you coming up to him and him going, yeah, you know what, Bobby? You like men, and you're a man. I'm sorry, you got to go away. Like, you created me. You created me in your image. That's what I was raised to believe. You're going to tell me now that I come to you and you knew that I was going to make sins. You knew that I was going to sin. Like, that was the whole purpose of sending Jesus down to die for our sins. You can't tell me that you didn't know I was going to do this. So, we're infallible. We're not infallible. We are fallible. We make mistakes. We do stupid stuff. Like, you're going to be forgiving. I think it's not a matter of, like, I think the problem is you listen to religion, and I think religion is the problem. Not Bibles, and not like organized religion is the problem, because you have people interpreting the Bible or the Quran or whatever it is, and they're basically raising up arms and doing all this crazy stuff in the name of God, and I think they're just off base and they don't know what's going on. And the same thing of like, oh, you can't be together because you're a man and you're a man, or you're a woman. It's like, you're not God, so how are you going to tell me what I can and can't do? And we got way, we're so far off of Animal Crossing at this point. I'm sorry that I took us off on these tangents, but I just, I feel like in the moment where we're at, it kind of makes sense, to be where we're at. But I think that at the end of the day, I guess my point is love who you want to love. Don't hate on people for loving who they love.
Like, it doesn't matter who you love, just that you are a loving person. Like you were saying, you don't imagine a God to judge you based on whether you decided that you loved a man or a woman. You expect to be judged on, say, like we were talking about, like, the generation where, like, people are just wanting to record everything and not run in and help somebody. Like, you know, you want to be judged on being the person that went and picked that person up when everyone else was just stood laughing and recording something. Like, you were the helpful one, you cared. And, like, that's what you should be judged for, as opposed to just the decisions you make in terms of who you love and who you are.
Absolutely. I agree.
So I guess, like, let's bring this back, like, full circle to, you know, the initial topic of Animal Crossing. We just had a few quick questions for you in terms of what we see in the game, where we see the game heading. So one kind of question that we've worked into our tours recently is what items everyone would like to see in the new updates, all that sort of thing. And we know that in terms of October, we've got a Halloween update, we're guessing, coming. We've seen Jack feature in some other games, so we're hoping to, like, see them on the island. Do you have kind of any hopes or predictions for the, like, next update?
I want to see Brewster. I think Brewster shows up in September. Along with the gyroids. I think he winds up going back to the museum and running the roost there. I think that's the biggest one for me. You know, because I like digging up the gyroids. I think they're kind of a quirky, fun thing. So I've always kind of just enjoyed them a little bit. So to me, that's probably the biggest thing.
Now, we're new to the game with New Horizons. We're not. Well, I'm personally not too familiar with what the gyroids are. Am I correct in saying they're kind of like what Lloyd is, or what that little creature by Luna is?
Yes, they look like them, but they're all painted differently, and they come in a series of, like, short and fat and tall, and a couple different sizes and stuff. And you know, but they make weird sounds. So then when you put them in a room playing music, they actually make sounds based to the beat of the music, and they make the music sound weirder or cooler depending on what you like and stuff.
Oh, wow. That sounds incredible for you, JayBee, because you collect every KK Slider album.
How cool would that be? Almost like they could revamp it, and I'm not sure if any... Okay, this is probably bringing things way too removed, but in, like, music class, there was this, like, program called Sibelius, and it's where you can compose your own songs, and you can kind of do that with the island theme, but I think it'd be so cool if, like, there was this room in the museum and you could compose your own little symphony just to play in that room using the gyroids.
Yes.
I think that would be
pretty much
cool.
what it turns into be, yeah. That's pretty much what it turns into be.
Now, here's another kind of topic that I really wanted to discuss with you, because I believe that you spoke about it briefly on I think it was a Breaking Bells, but I'm not too sure. But it was about the topic of a paid Animal Crossing DLC. And I know that you kind of disagreed with, not really the principle of it, but you didn't think it was going to happen, or you think it would be quite pointless. Yeah. But in terms of going forward with that, like, has your opinion on that changed at all, or how are you kind of seeing that play out?
I don't think we'll get... okay, so I don't think we're going to get it paid. I do and I don't. I think the best way to put it is, when it comes to, like, clothing and furniture and all that stuff, no. It's not going to be paid DLC. I think what we might find up getting is, like, if they do, like, skins, like an example, if they were to go, like, hey, we're going to give you a Mario aesthetic, where all the dirt and the grass looks like a Mario game. And the trees are themed after looking like Mario. Yeah. I can see them charging for that. Or like Breath of the Wild. The whole map, the island's going to look like Breath of the Wild. Like the grass and the weeds will look like the grass and the weeds in Breath of the Wild. The trees look like Breath of the Wild. Maybe the hourly music plays like Breath of the Wild or stuff like that. I could see them charging for something like that. I could see them charging Go ahead, what was that?
I was just going to say that could be really interesting. It could almost work like an amiibo basis, where like when you scanned in a figure, it kind of linked it to the game. So
that would be awesome.
Scanning in a Mario would like get you some Mario unlockables, like some new customizations. Breath of the Wild the same way.
That's awesome, actually. That would actually work pretty good. I mean, that wouldn't necessarily be paid DLC, but in terms of that concept, but that's really interesting.
But I would pay for that. Like, if they were to say, like, hey, for $10 you can have
the
Breath of the Wild skin, I would pay for it. I think that when it comes to things like, I'm just going to use a weird example. We're going to put a watermill into the game, and we're going to charge you $5 for this watermill. I don't see them doing that, and there's a reason why. Animal Crossing is all based upon trading and maneuvering stuff. So let's say that I buy it and it's in my town and you come through, I can't give it to you, I can't trade it with you, you can't touch it, you can't see it, there's just an empty object there. It doesn't make sense to me that would happen that way. Or if they were to say, like, here's a shirt, right, here's a bunch of shirts, well, we trade items all the time. So I can't give you that shirt. You can't wear it. You can't pick it up. That's something that they've never done in Animal Crossing games. DLC like that has always been free because they know that a major part of this whole game is trading stuff. So I don't see that necessarily being paid DLC. It'll be DLC. Don't get me wrong. I don't see it being paid DLC.
Yeah.
Where I see the paid DLC is like if they turn around and go like, hey, we're going to expand your house. So you give us $20, and we will allow your rooms to get even bigger and allow your storage to get bigger. Now, it doesn't affect you guys if you guys don't want it. But if I get it, it's only a benefit to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's something it's not like a pay to win type scenario. It's just like, hey, this is going to make my game more enjoyable. You guys don't want it because you don't really care about your house. You don't care how big your house is. You don't care about your storage. You don't have to get it. You don't have to worry about it. That I can see. That type of DLC, paid DLC, I can see.
I like that. That's a really good concept because, as well, I think they kind of make up for like the paid stuff in terms of like if the game's free. So, for example, Pocket Camp. There's a lot of features on there that you have to pay for because they need to kind of make up on the fact that the game's free. But for the Switch, it's kind of like because you paid for the game initially, it kind of encapsulates it all in that.
I mean, do you think they could do something a bit like, I don't know if you play much Pokemon, but recently they kind of did the Isle of Armor DLC, which is completely new for Pokemon. They've never done like a DLC for that before. They've usually just stuck to like, the third game in the trilogy type thing. But we've seen like you being able to go to different islands, like Halves Island or that limited Rover Island event. Could there be like a special DLC island to go to where maybe, I don't know, you could go into a creative mode like in Minecraft, or there's like this adventure to go on?
I can see them doing something like that. You know what I mean? Totally. I just don't think they will. You just gotta think in terms of like what Nintendo does and doesn't do, and stuff like that. Like, that's Pokemon. That's not really Nintendo. Like, Nintendo owns part of Pokemon, but that's the Pokemon company that does stuff like that. Nintendo's not necessarily known for doing things like that, like expansion packs, like in those terms. I would love it, to be honest with you. I would love for an expansion bundle to be like, hey, you can have this island and all your friends can go design it and all live there. That would be amazing, Or here's something separate, like, like you said, creator mode in Minecraft, where it's like, this is a totally different area you go, it's an open playground, you can just build how you want to build. That'd be awesome.
And I guess another part of that, now I don't see this being paid either, but it kind of goes on to the more like thing about adding clothings. Now, we recently did and I know you've done one as well, we were checking it out on your channel and it was absolutely superb, but we did like a Disney World type of island tour quite recently, and a lot of the comments under that video and a lot of people on Twitter were saying that they wish that Nintendo could collab with Disney or other types of companies to bring like more skins or items or clothing based on intellectual properties, and I was just wondering what your take on that was, possibly.
They've done that in the past. They've worked with 7-Eleven in the past, where in Japan 7-Eleven is really, really big. And they actually did like in-game DLC in Japan. It was exclusive to Japan, but I mean, obviously, if you have Japanese friends, you could get the items, no big deal. But what happened is people would, on the 3DS, they would go into 7-Elevens and they would activate these hotspots within 7-Eleven. And they would go in there and they would go to the post office, and Pelly would give them a gift. And normally it was a piece of furniture that was themed after 7-Eleven. So it was like the sub case or the drink machines or whatever. And then people could design the insides of their houses to be 7-Eleven stores. And it became a really big thing. So they have been known to work partnerships with companies to do stuff like that. So it's a possibility, definitely a possibility.
No, I think that does sound cool. Like, very interesting things. Now, you mentioned Pelly there. I think there's someone that hasn't appeared in New Horizons yet. But I know that you've kind of been playing the games for quite a while. So how would you say New Horizons compares to the kind of older games?
I feel like it's a good shell. It's not quite there yet. I think that for what it is, I love it to death. I think that by the time they're done doing the updates, I will go down and say that it's probably the best Animal Crossing ever. But at this point, it's just a little short. I think New Leaf is probably the best Animal Crossing game ever, as of now. But I think by the time, like I said, by the time the 2 year of updates are done, it'll probably be the best Animal Crossing game ever.
See, one comment that we've had, like, when we've been speaking with people is they said it was almost like Animal Crossing are doing so many updates, as in, like, they'd almost incompleted the game when it was released. And I think that my opinion on that is that they did it quite nicely, in that, like, a lot of people have burnout with Animal Crossing because you spend hours and hours doing your island and then it's kind of like, where do I go next? But I feel like the updates keep it fresh. Like, every so often, you just go back because you know something new's coming. And it kind of, like, introduces everything to you in stages, as opposed to it being like, these are the controls for running, this is how you build something, this is how you swim, this is how you build. And it's kind of like doing it quite nicely and easing you into the game, as opposed to just throwing it all at you at once.
Absolutely. I mean, is the game a complete game? No. They're still adding stuff to it. But I feel like the game we got at launch was a complete game in terms of, like, that game. In New Leaf, I put 600 hours in a year, and I was done. It was like, okay, I've played the game for 600 hours, I'm done. Nintendo didn't know that a pandemic was going to hit and basically lock everybody inside their houses. And that, just because you had nothing to do, you played Animal Crossing. So it's a totally different ballgame, you know? It's a totally different thing, the way it works out. So I think if you take away the pandemic, you would never hear a single person crying that we're complaining that it's not a complete game, because every month you're getting an update. Yeah. So you would still be way behind in hours of playing this game. I think there's people that put 1,000 hours into this game, right? As of now. 1,000 hours, if you don't have a pandemic, that's probably, you're looking at maybe 200 hours, maybe 300 hours.
Yeah, maximum.
That's not a lot of time in terms of Animal Crossing. So, I just think the pandemic is the bigger issue, not really what Nintendo did with the game.
See, I think another really good aspect of releasing it as, like, updates is it kind of deters time traveling a little bit. Because it's like, you get a Halloween update, you get an Easter update, you get, like, for set events. So if you time travel, you're not getting the full experience that you'd get if you waited. So, for example, like, people have time traveled to winter and they've got some ice sculptures and a couple of Christmas trees. But it's kind of like, we know there's going to be more coming, and if you wait, you're going to get a bigger impact when that time comes.
Absolutely. That's the biggest reason why we get the updates, is to limit people from time traveling. It's just what it boils down to be. It used to be, you fired up the game, you went right to Christmas, you went right to, whatever holiday you wanted to go to, Halloween, Thanksgiving, and you got all the items, and then you'd run around selling them. That's what people did. Nintendo's smart enough this time to go like, nope, we're going to hold those things out and we're going to make them updates. So it's a purposeful thing what they did.
Do you have like a favourite person that's come from an update? Like there was Zipper at Easter, Red, Pirate Gulliver, Pascal.
For me, it's Leaf, because Leaf came in at the perfect time because people were just starting to get a little tired of decorating and stuff. I had just completed my island in terms of decorating it, and then Leaf shows up, and I'm like, wow, these shrubs, this is a whole new game changer. And it totally changed the whole aesthetics of the game. Like, I literally went out and just started planting shrubs and building, retaining walls out of shrubs and all that stuff. Like, so Leaf to me has been probably one of the most impactful characters to come. I love the Red King just because of the fact of it upgraded the museum, but Leaf was the better of the two because he's just more impactful to the overall design of the island.
Yeah, I really like Leaf. Like, I feel like, for example, like a lot of the fences on the game can be quite like, I feel like if you like the cottage core and the garden core kind of vibes, a lot of the fences are like, so you get barbed wire, there's a spiky fence, and I just feel like you can create things with the shrubs in replacement of that hedge that are kind of a bit brighter, and they've got a lot of purpose. And for people who don't have Nintendo Online, it also brings you like the other variants of flowers that you can't get otherwise. So there's definitely a lot of purpose to having Leaf.
Yes.
Here's a bit of a weird point to raise, but I just got reminded of it when Millie mentioned Nintendo Online. Now, a lot of people, their first Animal Crossing game was New Horizons, and we've spoken to several people, and I think this is kind of common across the board, that a lot of people bought Switches for New Horizons. Now, to that aspect, if all they're going to play is New Horizons, and I guess Nintendo knew that it would be such a system seller regardless of a pandemic, perhaps not to the same extent, but I've noticed quite a popular IP. Could it not be argued that the Dream Address update was kind of pseudo-paid DLC in that you have to have Nintendo Online to get it?
I mean, not really. I mean, it was free DLC. I mean, it was free online back on the 3DS, so it was different. But I mean, you gotta pay for the Nintendo Online for a lot of stuff anyway, just to travel to people's islands and all that stuff. So I don't necessarily think that was a pseudo paid DLC. I mean, I guess you could view it that way. I just don't view it that way. Mainly because as cheap as Nintendo Online is. I mean, the way I look at it is this: I got Nintendo Online for other things, and I already have it, so it's a win-win for me. Yeah. But like, dude, all the Nintendo games and Super Nintendo games that you get, that alone is worth the $20 a year. So that alone is like, I'm going to buy it for that stuff. Oh, I get this other stuff for free? Okay, it's crazy. So, I think, it's all in the eyes how you perceive it. But you get such a value with Nintendo Online in terms of like Tetris 99 is free. Again, the Super Nintendo and Nintendo games are free. That alone is just amazing,
Yeah, and I think, like you said, most people would already have it with the game because they're wanting to visit other islands, and they could do that through the dodo codes providing they had online, so it's kind of like too late to consider it as that. So I think, there's been so many points raised throughout this, and so many interesting conversations that I know we definitely hadn't kind of planned in that were going to happen, but have just been so interesting to hear about and kind of debate. So we'll just ask you before we wrap up, is there any kind of questions, topics, anything that you'd like to put out on the channel before we wrap up?
I think we pretty much wrapped with everything we could talk about. I can't. I don't know what else we could offer to the conversation at this point. I think we're pretty good.
Great. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. I think that it's certainly been clear throughout this podcast what an amazing person the Nintendo Guru is. I do think they're definitely worth checking out. Their YouTube is amazing. There's so much Animal Crossing content. It's absolutely incredible. You can also find them on Insta, Twitter and Twitch, all of which is going to be in the bio, and not in the bio, in the description. So thank you again for listening. Please like this video.
So wait a minute, hold on. We're actually doing the hard wrap up now. So I am going to cut you off. We are going to do something first before we do this. I want to thank you two for having me on. JayBee and Millie, thank you for, number one, having the courage to reach out to me and just ask me to be a part of this. I am absolutely honored and humbled that you two would ask me to be a part of this. It means the world to me that you two would take the time to reach out to me and ask me to be on today's show. Thank you for that. I can never thank you enough for doing that. That is very kind of you. What I want to say to anybody that's listening right now, if you're from my community, I need you to do me a solid. I need you to, right now, just click the subscribe button on this YouTube channel. Please leave a comment below. Tell them how amazing and kind they to me the whole time that we were here. And please follow these two the best you can. Let's grow this channel. Let's make this channel something special. They're not even that far from 100 subscribers. Can we get them to 100 subscribers so that way they can get a custom URL? And that is so important to a YouTuber. That is the first major milestone to get a custom URL. Can we please make that happen? So, again, thank you guys for having me on, and I'm sorry for interrupting you, Millie, but go ahead, you can continue your wrap up.
No, thank you so much for that, because, you know, it's just so nice to have you here, because I genuinely feel like our Animal Crossing community's grown again today just by having this podcast with you, because you just seem like such a nice, genuine person. Like we've said, there's issues within the community where you just kind of vocalize for the people that kind of might not feel comfortable to vocalize for themselves right now, and it's just been so phenomenal, and thank you so much for the support with that. Like, we really can't thank you enough.
No, and you can tell that you are a genuinely nice person. Like, just the things that, like, we've kind of researched behind the scenes and the way you've kind of presented yourself, and just the fact that you can talk, you know, the same way about someone with 1 million subscribers in the same way that you talk about someone with 5 subscribers. Like, it just is so grounding, and it's just amazing. It's just been so powerful. But in terms of the people that we have on this channel following us here, where can they find you on the internet?
You could go to, there's a couple of easy ways. You can go to nintendoguru.com, you go to youtube.com/nintendoguru, twitch.tv/Nintendo Gurus. Same thing with Twitter, Instagram. I am all over the place. So it's easy to find me.
Thank you so much. And we're definitely, you know, going through all those platforms and making sure we have connections with you on all of them, because I think, you know, in terms of support, there's definitely been another link between two people today. And like I said, with the community growing, by I certainly feel like we've got another real Animal Crossing connection, which we've made some really nice ones through doing this work. So thank you so much. So for those of you that have been watching this video, thank you for sticking with us, listening to the podcast. We've had so much fun recording this, so many amazing conversations we've had. So please like, comment below. We are still doing daily island tours, so if you'd like your island featured, please drop a comment below and we will get back to you. We also have our Twitter, which is JMillieVids, and so you can find us there. We are always looking to expand the community, and thank you guys so much for watching. So please like, comment and subscribe, JayBee and Millie.
And Nintendo Guru.